Hey, and a very warm welcome, everybody, to today's delightful emails masterclass. We're going to get going in about 30 seconds. Before we do that, I just need to make sure that everything's working as it should. If you can see my face, hear my voice, and see some words on a screen, can you just type that into the question box? Leslie can see me and hear me. Leora, yes, fantastic. Thank you so much. And while we give the stragglers another minute to come in, let me know where you are in the world. I'm in sunny Malta, which is a small island in the Mediterranean, which I've called home for the last 10 years. And out of sheer curiosity with no agenda, I would be thrilled to find out where you are. Kansas, Orlando, New Jersey, says Leslie, fantastic. Bellingham, Washington. New Zealand, Gavin, thank you. Whatever time it is for you, I appreciate you being here. Australia, Nicole, same goes for you. Portland, Florida, good. I see the Sunshine State is well represented. And somebody else in New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, United States of America, Toronto. If any of you are in British Columbia at the moment, thank you very much for taking time out from what must be a very stressful period of your life to spend some time with me. So with no further ado, let's get cracking. I am Matthew Kimberley. I am the CEO at Book Yourself Solid Worldwide. Book Yourself Solid, you might be familiar with, based upon the mega best-selling book by my business partner, Michael Port. We help small business owners get more clients than they can handle, even if they hate marketing and selling. What I do mainly is train the trainer now. So we have a licensing program or a certified coach program, and I spend 80% of my time looking after our Book Yourself Solid coaches, and the rest of the time I get to spend doing this fantastic thing with you, which is evangelizing about the beauty of email. I live in Malta. Prior to that, I lived in Belgium. I started a recruitment company, various coaching companies, public speaking training company, and I've now got 2 kids, 1 dog, and a very peaceful existence in the middle of the sea here, in the middle of the world. I am flying solo today, so the good folk at Coaches Console very kindly encourage you to spend an hour with me. However, I am flying solo, so your questions as they come in, I won't necessarily be able to get to them in real time, but I'll make sure that no question goes unanswered. My goal for you today is to do for your coaching business what I've done for my coaching business with email, because if you know how to write an email, you know how to write a delightful email, so I'm going to show you. And if you know how to write a delightful email, you can earn hundreds and thousands of dollars every year by typing words into the internet and forming meaningful relationships with the people on your list. And it's a fantastic underrepresented opportunity. We all know that we should be doing it. We all know we should be doing it better. And trial and error over the last decade, I've really cracked the code. And so, you know, there's no business for me here in this tiny rock of 500,000 people, which is 20 miles by 10. There's really no business coaching business for me here. So since the beginning of time, I have enabled the growth of my own business by writing emails, and that has meant that I've earned hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, from promoting and selling, well, definitely more from promoting and selling my own programs, probably close to $1 million in affiliate commissions at this point. And I've got, you know, a small list. Every time somebody runs an affiliate contest that I actively participate in, it's quite common to see me up against the big list bullies in the top of those leaderboards. And I'm really very proud, and this isn't something that I invented overnight. I've been working on this process for the best part of a decade now, like I said, through trial and error. And all of you have got probably the facility to send broadcast emails. That is, you hit send once and it goes out to 10 people or 50 people or 50,000 people. That means you've got ConvertKit or MailChimp or Infusionsoft or you use some other platform to send emails out in bulk. And I ask this question of everybody who attends this training, and I've delivered dozens of them at this point. I say, are you very satisfied, mostly satisfied, or less than satisfied with the results and the revenue that you are getting from your current email marketing efforts. And this is what always happens. You know, I hit send on the email, the results come in, and there's a couple of screen grabs to show you, you know, this data isn't made up. These numbers are true and accurate numbers. And the results are very, very clear. 97% of you are less than satisfied with the results. You're sitting on a gold mine, and it's untapped. And some of you go even further. Some of you are redonkulously unsatisfied or super ultra less than satisfied. And I never experienced that myself. So, well, no, that's not true. At the beginning I did, but then I broke all the rules and started to see some results. And so I want to introduce you to the process that I use today. I'm going to ask your permission to go very quickly. I'm going to ask your permission to cover a lot of ground. I'm going to ask your permission to speak with a sometimes impenetrable British accent. And I'm going to ask your permission to make an offer at the end of this presentation. If you feel that it's been useful and worthwhile, I'll show you where you can get more help. We typically run for about 50 minutes, and then I will stay on and answer as many questions as need answering at the end of this. So if we're good with that, I am going to get started. It's very important, first of all, to understand the pain points around email marketing. You know, it's one thing to say you're not satisfied. It's another thing to know exactly why you're not satisfied. And typically, when it comes to sitting down to write an email to our list, there are three main or major problems. The first problem that I hear time and time again is that when you sit down to write an email, you don't know how to write it without sounding and sounding is different for different people. What's always true is that it doesn't sound like yourself. Sometimes you sound too hypey. Sometimes you sound too dull. Sometimes you sound too formal. Sometimes you sound too corporate. Sometimes you sound too soft. And there's something happens between the way that we want to project ourselves into the world via this email and what actually comes out. So we're not happy with the general tone of our emails. The second problem, which is a major stumbling block, is we sit down in front of the computer and we're just stuck. We don't know what to write about. We run out of ideas. The idea that we have to be a publishing company as well as a coaching company is a terrifying one for many of you. You know, how many businesses historically have also added, oh, and we do publishing on the side? Dentists don't do it, doctors don't do it, therapists don't do it, retail stores don't do it, most service businesses don't do it. But we've kind of cornered ourselves into the box where we've been told that if we've got an email list, we need to regularly be creating content. So we run out of ideas, we don't know what to write about, which of course prevents us from sitting down to write the thing. But even then, if we do know what to write about, the third problem is the whole process is just way too laborious. We don't know how to begin, we don't know how to end, we don't know how to edit, we don't know when it's ready, we procrastinate, and the entire process of writing an email can last an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. For a long time, I ran a program called the Single Malt Mastermind, which was an email-based accountability program. So I'm not breaking any trade secrets here when I say that if you had joined, it's not available anymore, but if you had joined the Single Malt Mastermind, you would receive an autoresponder. So it was a 52-part autoresponder, and it sold for $1,000, and I sold many, many, many hundreds of units over the last 5 years. And I know how long people spend on content creation tasks or marketing tasks, and no wonder we don't like the idea, because if giving birth to an email is as painful as giving birth to twins, except we have to do it on a weekly basis, it's no surprise we don't do more of it. So which one of these resonates most with you? Is it you don't like the way that you sound, you don't like the finished product? Is it that you don't know what to write about? Or is it that the whole process takes too long? Which is it for you? Is it a one, mostly 2, mostly 3? 3, 2, very formal, Nicole. Yeah, I mean, what we were taught in school was, you know, all 3 of them, says Leora. Yeah, Michelle, the same. It's a problem, you know, and it's a shame, because the opportunity on the other side of fixing the relationship with email, both for you and for your prospects and customers, is unlimited. I mean, you know, within reason. we can generate more sales, we can generate more trust, we can generate more excitement, we can generate more meaningful relationships, all through the written word. And so I'm here to show you, I'm on a mission that you are the hero of your email story, and you should embrace that. So we're going to fix all three of those issues. But before we do, there's a very important paradigm shift that we need to adopt when it comes to email marketing. And actually, I'd go so far as to say that the words email marketing, although I will use them during this presentation, are the wrong words. It's not email marketing. Where I come from, marketing doesn't get you clients. Marketing creates awareness about who you are and what you have to offer the world. And it's what you do with that awareness that gets you clients. So we'll do our marketing out in the world, and then people will raise their hand and say, hey, I'm prepared to be sold to. The minute somebody gives you their email address, you no longer need to generate that lead. You've got the lead. So as long as we're not emailing cold or spam, which we never ever should do, we are selling. We are not marketing. And the beautiful thing about email selling is it's not a short, hard pitch, although there are occasions when we can do short, hard pitches in our emails, and I would recommend it. But we're doing a nice, long dance. We're dating, and then we're getting engaged, and then hopefully we're getting married. And it's a long-term, nurturing sales relationship. We don't need to sell anybody on giving us their details at this point. We've already got those. We're selling people on moving to the next stage of trust with us. So emails are provocative in my world. That means that every email that we send must provoke a reaction. And that reaction can be, of course, click here, commonly known as the call to action. But it could also be, think about this, or feel this way, or even, how does that make you feel? And you've probably heard 1,000 times before that people remember not the things that you told them or you showed them, but the way that you made them feel. We're looking to make our prospects, our readership, our pen pals, our correspondents feel differently as a result of interacting with us. Because that kind of emotional connection is the kind of thing that most email marketers neglect. And that's why when you get this right, emailing is delightful and delightfully easy, because most people are doing it so badly. The second thing that you need to think is, the second thing you need to think very hard about is the relationship that you have with your list. Now, there's a lot of aggressive language that's bandied around in the world of email marketing. People say they're going to hit their list, or they're going to send out a blast, or they're going to, I exaggerate now, they're going to massacre their list. And I just see this is a horribly aggressive and violent. What we've actually got here is a group of individuals, all individuals, they don't know each other. And at one time in the past, they have raised their hand and they said, I need your help. Will you please help me? And I believe, therefore, we have a responsibility of care, especially because we are coaches and we're not selling Viagra or SEO services. I believe we have a responsibility of care and nurture to the members of our list. And they, in my case, I mean, you think carefully about your relationship with the list, but in my case, I really like to see myself as the father figure. And that means that sometimes I get to tickle them and make them laugh, and sometimes I get to reprimand them and make sure that they're staying on the sidewalk and not running and playing in the road. Sometimes I give them a bedtime story and give them a kiss and tell them that they're loved. And other times I can be the strict disciplinarian and, you know, make them eat their greens. And that also instructs how often you should email your list. If a member of your family says, I need your help, and you decide that it would be somehow obtrusive or rude, or you'd be overstaying your welcome if you showed up for 5 minutes a day, or 5 minutes a week, or 5 minutes a month, then you'd second guess that. You know, I like to check in with my family, both the ascendant and the descendant lines, very, very regularly. And I imagine you do too. So that solves one of those issues. You're welcome. They've in fact invited you into their lives, specifically because of who you are. And the third part is that the email should delight 3 times. The first time that the email delights is when they see your name in the inbox. You've trained them to experience a reaction when they consume your email. And this reaction, whether it's laughter or tears or deep thought or shock or joy, trains them that this is going to be a worthwhile investment of their time. They're going to spend 3 minutes or 7 minutes or 30 seconds reading your email, and they know that the reward will be in the email itself. The second time that it delights is when they're actually in the reading of it. So they read it and they go, this was an experience that I do not regret. I am glad I spent the time doing that. And the third time that it delights is when they think about it later. Because if we're just giving somebody an instruction manual or a how-to or a sale announcement, that's in one ear and straight out the other. If we're provoking a reaction, that's going to lodge in their brain, and that's going to be there for a long time. And I've certainly had experiences in the past where I've been at a conference, perhaps speaking at a conference far, far from home. I might be in Los Angeles, or I might be in Sydney, Australia, and someone's come up to me and said, hey, Matthew, I have to tell you this, we've never met, but do you remember that email you sent in June 2017? And I will say, no, I don't, but I'm so glad that you do. So that's the way that I like to view emails. And it's not just in order to have a nice, nurturing relationship, although I feel that, you know, business should be a love story. It's because it's highly remunerative. You can make hundreds and thousands of dollars by making appropriate offers to a group of people who trust you. And the way that you grow trust is by showing up and doing what you say you're going to do. And if you don't show up and you don't email people and you don't delight them and you don't provoke reactions, don't be surprised if they don't really feel very responsive to you. I love my correspondents, my pen pals, like they were family, and I also train them like they're Pavlov's dogs, in as much as if I suggest that this is a good course of action for you, then you trust me enough to say, I'm going to do it. I have a program called Delightful Emails, and the first time I launched it, I sent out a very, very quick, short email to my list at the time. And I said, hey, you know that I've always done right by you. Well, I'm thinking of putting together a short program on how to write better emails. And if you're interested, it's going to cost you a couple of $1,000s, and you can click here. And that was it. That was the pitch. And I had something like 25, 30 people join just off the bat, just like that. Because of the relationship that we had forged over email over time. And I want exactly the same thing for you. Hold your questions until the end, unless they're specifically timely. And yes, the three times that people are delighted is when they see your name in the inbox, when they read the thing, and when they think about the email later. And I want to stop and give a little sidebar on value, and this will blow the minds of some of you. You have been told time and time and time and time again that what's important when it comes to publishing your marketing content is that you must be valuable. Here's what I believe is truly, truly valuable. If we spend our time on the things that we value, and we spend our money on the things that we value, and we get emotionally invested in the things that we value, you know, we'd be disappointed if they were stolen, then that's a pretty good indicator of what is valuable, right? If you were to take all the apps off my phone, apart from the ones that I use all the time, you'd see what was valuable to me. I value corresponding with my friends, and I value music. You know, if you took Spotify off my phone, that would be an absolute disaster. Now, some things admittedly are valuable for a brief period of time, and then they lose value, like I don't know, a manual, a how-to manual for your washing machine. Let's say your washing machine breaks down for a brief period in time. One of the most valuable things that you could have on hand is the washing machine manual, how to fix your washing machine. And the minute it's fixed, that washing machine manual has no value whatsoever. But other things are perennially valuable. Our children, our pets, our music collection, our memories, our love letters, the people in our lives, right? So this is the long and short of it is, you no longer have to write how-to content. Nobody wants to receive actionable content, right? They will look it up when they need it. They will specifically ask you for it when they need it, but don't confuse actionable content with valuable content. The vast majority of us are churning out second-rate how-to guides that could be found with a quick Google. Now, if we're doing that successfully, that's fantastic. But I want to let you off the hook for having to come up with instruction manuals every time you publish something. That's actually less valuable than showing up as a person of value. Instead of actionable content, we want to focus on reactionable content. And I mentioned that then a couple of slides ago. How can we make people feel differently? How can we validate them or invalidate them? How can we embrace them? How can we scorn them? How can we give them a frisson of feeling during their day? And that way we go from being a purveyor of actionable content or valuable content to actually being a person of value. I'm guessing the most exciting correspondence that you get any time of day is a text message from your lover. There might be nothing in it but a winking emoji, but you know that when that comes through, that's the best thing that's happened to you all day long. And I want to focus on that kind of relationship, not on churning out listicles that are read and then forgotten for the rest of time. Are you with me so far? Give me a yes if you are. This paradigm shift around the relationship is super important. And by the way, when you focus on valuable content or being a person of value rather than actionable content, you can get away with writing not very much at all of substance in your emails. And that is the key to truly, truly delightful emails. So let's deal with the first issue first then. How to write without sounding like a copywriter, an academic, a professional, a stuffed shirt. We are going to bring our readers into our world. We're going to use some storytelling techniques to try and paint a picture about the world around us. We want to invite them for a brief minute during their day to exit their world and step into ours, a world that starts to become quite familiar to them. One way to do this is to create what I like to call a motif. A motif is, if you're asking somebody to step into your world, you're asking them to associate places, objects, geographical sites, people, pets, turns of phrase with you. They're stepping out of their world and into your world. And the trouble is we can become, until we build that trust, we're a bit of an abstract entity. We could be just a stranger on the other side of the internet. And so one of the things that I like to encourage all of you to do is to create a motif. This is really a gimmick. And what it does is it aids recall. So we want our readers, our correspondents, to have a firm association with us. The trouble is, as multifaceted personalities on the other side of a screen, it can be quite difficult to get the measure of someone. So what we want to do is stick out in their mind by using a trick, a gimmick, an unfair advantage. And we're going to use an approach or a technique used by script writers and authors, but also by memory experts the world over. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the idea of a memory palace, but if you're the kind of person who can memorize a deck of cards, you're not just memorizing the order in which the suits and the numbers of the cards appear. What you're doing is you're anchoring this abstract card to a physical object. And that's what we're going to do with you. So we're going to choose a physical object that allows people to have a more rapid association with you. Because let's face it, there's thousands and millions of coaches all around the world, and there's thousands of business coaches, and there's thousands of marketing coaches, there's thousands of writing coaches, there's thousands of life coaches. And yeah, if someone can't remember your name, and let's not get too precious, it happens, right? How are they going to describe you? Oh, you know, the business coach, the email coach, the whiskey guy. Oh, you mean Matthew Kimberley. So what I've done, I have woven the concept of whiskey. I've already mentioned it to you on today's call. I talked about the single malt mastermind. So this motif of mine is a shortcut to being lodged in the memory. It's easy enough, you know, it's quite difficult actually to remember the English business coach, but the English business coach, you know, the whiskey guy, I know from first-hand and second-hand and third-hand proof over the years, works absolute wonders when it comes to being memorable. Because if we can't be memorable, we're quickly forgotten. And I'm looking for any hook into the prospect's life and into their psyche and into their brain. And we remember objects and images far more readily than we remember abstract notions. And until we can become a real person, we're gonna use this crutch or this trick. Now you might like to think about what yours would be. It might be a walking cane, it might be a pink umbrella, it could be a car that you drive, it could be a pet, a sidekick that's always with you. But I once, and you think, well, I don't see how this would help get you clients. Well, listen, who do people do business with? They do business with people they remember. I have a bit on my website that says, please send whiskey and love letters to the following address. And guess what I get as a result of that? I get whiskey and love. People send whiskey to Malta and occasional love letters as well. And it's phenomenal. But and when I go to speak at a conference, what is there always waiting for me? A bottle of whiskey. It could be a cowboy hat in your instance. It could be a cup of hot tea. It could be a glass of your grandmother's lemonade. It could be a briefcase that you always carry. It could be a pair of shoes that you always wear. It could be a yellow scarf. It could be a pair of Harry Potter glasses. You know, the wizard with or a scar. It could be a scar, your tattoo. Don't overthink it, but stick with it. And that is an immediate invitation into your world. Somebody joined the Book Yourself Solid coaching community recently, and I said, so how did you hear about us? He said, well, funnily enough, I was at a bar at a marketing conference in Manchester, UK, a few years ago, and I ordered a Lagavulin. And I said, very good choice. This is a smoky single malt scotch. And the lady at the bar turned to me and said, who do you think you are, Matthew Kimberley? And he said, well, at that stage, I'd never heard of Matthew Kimberley. But the fact that you appreciated the good whiskey was enough to help me check you out. And therefore, 2 years later, I became your customer. So don't neglect this idea. This is going to serve you very well. I don't think a logo works to the same extent. You know, you could certainly incorporate the physical object into your logo, but there are very few logos that we remember, at least actively. So that's trick or gimmick number one, to be a more memorable, welcome presence in the inbox, because we greet friends more readily than we greet strangers, is to have your own motif. You also want to create a cast of characters. Who are the antagonists in your story? Who are the heroes? Who are the sidekicks? Who are the supporters? And I actually believe these should be recurring roles. I don't want you to tell me a story once about the bad-tempered barista who gives you coffee in the morning. I want to see him time and time again, because then familiarity creeps in. I also want to hear about locations. You know, if you paint a picture for me, and if it's repeated locations, you know, I was on my boat. And they're like, I start to get a picture of the idea that Matthew is someone who likes boating. Or There's a guy called Derek Halpern who used to write a lot about marketing on a site called Social Triggers. And he on Facebook used to tell a lot of stories. They always began, so I was in the coffee shop. And I knew that that was going to be a great investment of my time, because what happened to Derek in coffee shops was a worthwhile read every time he told it, because it was full of the humanity, you know, people in New York, Manhattan coffee shop, full of characters. And the minute he said, so I'm in a coffee shop, I go, oh boy, this is going to be a good one. So what are the locations, your world building here? And then when it comes to themes, I really think you have to be consistent, stay in your lane to a certain degree. Doesn't mean you can't tell completely left field stories, but if people are coming to you for marketing advice, don't start telling them about crypto the next week. If people are coming to you for advice on their marriage, perhaps don't start giving them ice skating tips the week after that. And I've seen so many coaches, and I've dealt with thousands and thousands of coaches in my career, trained thousands of them. We start to confuse our expertise with our personality. And although we must absolutely infuse our personality into our business, particularly when it comes to delightful emails, we've got to stay on task. I also think it could be quite dangerous. I've seen plenty of life coaches who are very good at, I don't know, morning routines, all of a sudden veer into a space that really, frankly, therapists should be dealing with. So in order for people to feel comfortable with us, we've got to stay on topic. We've got to give them a cast of characters that they can learn to get to know and enjoy. We've got to give them some locations that they begin to feel comfortable with. And ideally, we give them a gimmick that we can hang our hat on and they can feel is like a rock or an extra part of us. But all of these are secondary to the power of your persona. Because email is a very personal, one-to-one type of correspondence. And listen, you know how to write an email. You write emails day in and day out. It's just when you come to write an email to a bunch of people, to your list, we forget how to write an email. And so this persona, this person, you, who's going to be writing the email, should be very carefully crafted. And I use that word specifically with intent. Or anyone who says just be yourself is giving you very bad advice. Authentic vulnerability out of context is dangerous and damaging. Remember, you are perhaps the mother figure or the father figure or the best friend figure or the patrician, academic, professorial figure in your list's life. You've chosen your character in your list's life. And it's highly unlikely that you're going to be the warts and all husband or wife, because they have trusted you for your leadership and your expertise. Now, in the case of my children, I've got two kids, 11 and 8. They see 60, 70% of me. They see me as the fun dad, they see me as the loving dad, they see me as the disciplinarian, but they don't see the stressed dad. They don't see the afraid dad. They don't see the anxious or the worried dad whenever I can help it, because it makes them feel insecure. And they start to doubt their position and they start to doubt my leadership. Now, you may disagree with that as a kind of notion of fatherhood, but if you go warts and all and end up using your list as some kind of confession booth or writing to your correspondence as some sort of therapy, then you're not inspiring confidence. We all have roles that we play. Those of you who are familiar with transactional analysis will be aware of this. And playing the role of the coach, leader, mentor means that there are some things that stay in the closet. It also means that some parts get amplified with honesty. This is an excerpt from Robert Greene's Mastery. It's not generally acknowledged or discussed, but the personality we project to the world plays a substantial role in our success and in our ascension to mastery. The personality we project to the world. Understand, people will tend to judge you based on your outward appearance. If you're not careful and simply assume that it's best to be yourself, They will begin to ascribe to you all kinds of qualities that have little to do with you, but correspond to what they want to see. Your only protection is to turn this dynamic around by consciously molding these appearances, creating the image that suits you and controlling people's judgments. You must see the creation of a persona as a key element in social intelligence. Now, it's super important that we understand why we're doing this. One is to protect yourself and your business. Two is because you're actually going to be stepping into the role of head of marketing when you sit down to pen an email. And the head of marketing should be, to some degree, dispassionate about the business, right? They might be passionate about the business, but they shouldn't feel that the business and them are themselves. That's very unhealthy for many coaches. We conflate, because we're a one man or self-employed or one woman or one person self-employed business, we think that we are the business. We are not the business. The business is what we do. And when we're doing a sales piece or when we're creating a marketing piece, we need to be as detached, because then we can be objective about the best interests of the business as we possibly can be. It also allows you to be more fearless when it comes. This is like a cloak, an alter ego that you're wearing when it comes to crafting your emails. It's very important that this persona is magnetic, because magnetism and charisma go hand in hand. And to be magnetic, of course, we have to be polarizing. We have to have a north and a south, a plus and a minus, which means that we must be prepared to look people in the eye and say, this is me. If you don't like me, get lost. That means you have to be for something and against something. You've got to choose which hill you're going to die on. And you may think, well, I can appeal to everybody. Sure, you can. But we're talking about persuasion and influence. And if we look at the most influential people in the world and the most influential people in history, these people have as many detractors as they have adorers. They have as many haters as they have superfans. Who are the most influential people in the world today? Well, I'm going to say heads of state. Joe Biden, previously Donald Trump. Love him or hate him? Yes, categorically yes. But you don't get to be the president of a state by trying to run down the middle line. If you want ardent supporters who will potentially storm the Capitol for you, then you realize that you're going to have to be prepared to say, I am for you and I am not for you. Look at the world of entertainment. Who's influential in entertainment? Kanye West, Justin Bieber. Love him or hate him? Yes. Lady Gaga, love her or hate her? Yes. And she has adoring fans. What does she call them? The little monsters. These people would lay down their life for her, and as many other people say, no, just not for me. She's too much. She wears meat dresses. That's what we need. So we need to take a good hard, and that's going to make it much easier for us to be clear about our personality. So what are we for? What are we against? Look in the mirror. What's our relationship with the big issues of the day? You don't have to get into politics if you don't want to, but if you do want to, you're going to attract raving fans. And all those fans are going to look like you. Whether you're left or right or middle ground, if you're very, very clear about what you're for, then you want people going, I don't like you, I don't agree with you, and that's great, because that means your supporters will hold you up even more strongly. You're also going to ask, what's acceptable? What kind of, I've got a big exercise on this in the Delightful Emails program, but basically you run through this personality assessment, says, what am I like and how much do I want to amplify my voice? And you come up with this persona. And this is my persona profile. Matthew Kimberley is a sophisticated, eloquent, fiercely witty, and yes, handsome, James Bond-esque British playboy. He's known for his erudite vocabulary and elegant presentation skills, unflappable, unconventional, always unfazed, never without a stiff drink and a sharp anecdote. Trust him with your business, but not with your wife. Now, this isn't me, right? This is the me when I put on my superhero cape. This is me with my invincibility cape. This is a version of me that I am blowing up. So when I sit down to write an email, I know exactly who is writing that email. And I know what turn of phrase. I know how far I'm going to push boundaries. I know just to what edge of appropriateness I can go. I know what the correct response is. Right? And it's honest because it's a version of myself. But it gives me a certain powerfulness, a certain sense of power when it comes to write the email. So instead of saying, what would Matthew do? You say, well, what would James Bond do in this situation? Plus, it's a lot of fun and it's brimming with personality and it's polarizing. Some people are going to read that and go, this guy sounds like a real douche canoe. And others are going to go, this guy sounds like fun. So that's how you become a valuable person. Let's move on to phase 2, what to write about. I like the idea of brainstorming and bulk creating ideas and prompts. I call them prompts. We need 2 types of prompts. We need subject matter prompts and we need creative prompts. Subject matter prompts are basically a list of all the things that we should be talking about if we are an SEO consultant, a list of all the things we should be talking about if we're a marriage counselor, a list of things that we should be talking about. This is, you know, this is your expertise. We're going to answer a dozen questions about your expertise and come up with a tickler file, an unlimited number of subject matter prompts. You can just pick one out of a hat and say, oh, today I'm writing about speaking. Today I'm writing about personal branding. These are the, you know, your keywords on LinkedIn, I guess. And then we've got the creative prompts, which are the stories that we tell. These are the funny, weird little things that we're going to tie together to make a delightful email. So we've got our creative prompts and we've got our subject matter prompts. Now, I've devised a number of methods that I use in order to generate a year's worth of prompts in the space it takes to, you know, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whiskey if you're me. One of these is the fractal method. Another one is the library method. And the other one is the daily drip. And the daily drip is quite fun. This is used for creative prompts. So it's almost like a 3-minute journaling exercise. You sit down with your cup of coffee and you say, okay, so what did I see yesterday? Who did I meet? What did I read? What did I watch? What made me laugh? What made me cry? Where did I go? Did anything interesting happen? And you just run through you check off all your experiences during the day. What did I smell? What did I eat? Who did I talk to? What did I fight about? What did I laugh about? Did anything unusual happen? And we're going to write 5 little sentences. And I'm going to show you in this presentation how to turn these into the most delightful stories. Even if you think they're just not worthy of even thinking about, I'm going to show you how you're wrong. And that gives you an unlimited source of material for your emails. Then we have the alphabet prompt, the alphabet process. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. So it's as simple as it sounds. I'm going to give myself 2 minutes to try and come up with, let's say, 3 months worth of email ideas. So we're going to use this exercise now. We're going to do it live, and we're going to do it for our subject matter prompts, our area of expertise. So if anyone would like to put their niche or their specific area of expertise into the question box, I'll use that as an example. First one in, what kind of coach are you? What do you do? Virtual assistant, okay, fantastic. First one, just because you were first, Pace, you're a virtual assistant. Here's what you're going to do. You get a blank piece of paper. I'm going to give you the abbreviated version, but you can do it on your own after this. You're going to get a blank sheet of paper and you're going to write the letters of the alphabet. A, you can't see what I'm doing with my fingers, A through Z or Z, as my North American friends say. And as simple as that, we're going to start to brainstorm some ideas. We're going to pour a cup of coffee, or we're going to pour a glass of whiskey or wine, or we're going to get together with a friend, or we're going to get a whiteboard up. And what we can do is we're just going to start writing out ideas on the screen based upon the prompt that we have in front of us. So we don't have to do, it's not an exercise in perfection. You're going to be able to do this for your business far better than I can do it for your business, but we're going to try and come up with 3 months worth of email prompts here for Paya, who is a virtual assistant. A, Airtable for virtual assistants. B, business process design for personal assistants. C, computer software for personal assistants. D, design. Should you ask your assistant to help with design tasks? E, everything you ever needed to know about how much to pay a virtual assistant. Finally choosing a virtual assistant. Here's the 3 things you need to consider before you do it. G, I don't know, I pass. H, how long should I wait before I hire a virtual assistant? I'm not even using this for the case, it's giving me a prompt. I, is there such thing as the perfect virtual assistant? J, just in time versus just in case. Should I hire a virtual assistant before I'm ready? Keeping a virtual assistant, 30 things to do to make sure they never leave you. L, losing a virtual assistant, how to make sure that continuity continues in the event that somebody disappears. M, managing, and so on and so forth. You see, I've been doing it for what, 30 or 40 seconds. Yeah, Payer's doing it already, right? You're already doing it, but it's this easy. Now, I've actually done, I think we did all of them apart from G. We got halfway through the alphabet. That's 13 prompts, which I guess is 1 weekly email for 3 months, right? And what we do is we just incorporate that into our emails. So if we were to combine this with the fractal method, let's say we did F was, I don't know, finances for virtual assistants, you might say, okay, how much to F, finances for virtual assistants, how much to pay them, how to design commission structures, how to budget for a financial assistant. Should you give a financial assistant, virtual assistant a credit card? So we've got 4 ideas from 1 letter. And of course, if we do that 13 times, we end up having 2 years worth of emails or thereabouts, so on and so forth. So this is just a little peek inside my prompts. And you see how quickly you can do it for your own business when you are comfortable with your business, because I'm that was amazing, says Nicole. I did it for sport. Yeah, you've done it already. I think you have just created 3 months worth of emails in 30 seconds, right? And if you can answer those questions and I show you how to do it delightfully, then imagine what the future holds, right? It's fun. It's really fun when you get into it. So that was, that's 2 things, right? So you're never ever going to run out of ideas, and you're never ever going to worry about how to sound. A lot of those are how to and listicle ideas. We're moving away from that. We are, Rob. We're not going to write articles that are listicle based, but we do need to stay in our lane. So we're going to be using expertise. So what I'm going to show you now is how to turn the germ of those subject matter ideas, combine them with a creative prompt, and turn it into a truly delightful email, because we want to stay in our lane. We're not just sending people postcards from our vacation, but we have to make it interesting and exciting. And actually, here's the thing, you don't actually have to provide any how-to information. It's just, you know, that this email is going to be about managing a virtual assistant. Now, at this point, questions will come up that would be, you know, how much of my content should go on my blog and how much should go in my email, or so on and so forth. I really believe that if you are writing regularly on a blog or articles for other places, or you're producing a podcast, or you have a YouTube channel, all of that's great. But if all we're training our readers to do is open the email and click the link, then we're not training them to engage with our email. So remember, the email must be a reward in itself. So by all means, if you have another content scheduling or creating process, then you can, you know, keep doing what you're doing. But let's make sure the emails in and of themselves are truly a reward. So let's get on to writing the thing. Every email has a skeleton. This is the general skeleton of a delightful email. The subject, the greeting, the flesh, the segue, the point, the CTA or the CTR, call to action or call to reaction, and the sign off. And I'm not kidding, when I sit down to write any emails, I do most days, I start with this framework every time. And this might surprise you, but this is the order in which I complete my email, always and forever. And it means that I can get it done in normally inside of 15 minutes, if that. Firstly, I decide what the call to action or the call to reaction is going to be. Now, don't forget, we are here email selling. Although the sales dance is going to be delightful and they're going to enjoy it, the whole purpose of sending emails is to make money, to grow our coaching business, to give back to society, to put a roof over our heads. We are running a business here, not a hobby. So we've always got a pretty good idea, I hope, of what we're promoting, what our promotional calendar is. That we should, as coaches, we should always have something that people are able to buy. And if it's not buy, it might be think about this, or you might be doing a longer or more involved launch sequence that has, deliberate tension built up. A call to action could be sit tight until tomorrow and I'll tell you the rest of the story if you're using a kind of soap opera sequence. But I always start with the reason that I'm sending the email, which is typically to encourage people to spend money. So in this case, I'm going to write an email that promotes my Delightful Emails program. So I'm going to always start with the call to action or the call to reaction, which in this case is click here to buy Delightful Emails. Now, the next part I'm going to do is the sign off because that's easy. This doesn't take long. This takes 20 seconds. I always remember my name normally. Now, you can always have fun after the name. You can have PSs, you can have funny variations on your name. I try to use a different job title every time I email the Book Yourself Solid list. For example, you can have fun now. You can add delight. You can add layers of extravagance or decoration or embellishment if you want to. But really, we want to keep it as cool. We're training ourselves to write quickly. So click here to buy Delightful Emails. Now, your name. Then I'm going to write the greeting. Dear John, or dear first name, or hey, or yo, or what's up, or however you start your emails. And what we have here is a kind of passable email, right? I mean, imagine you were running to get on a plane, you were going to be without internet for the next 8 hours. You only had your cell phone, you had to dictate something really quickly. We could kind of get away with this if it was going out to a list who loves us. Even then, it might be a little bit sparse, but we're almost there in terms of effectiveness. Now, every email like this wouldn't be delightful. We don't subscribe very, very quickly. But assuming that you spent days, weeks, months, years building a relationship, if you got an email that said, click here to buy Delightful Emails, and you knew me and you trusted me, you'd click through out of curiosity. But we're going to add it. We're going to add just a reason why they might like to do it. This is the point. Number 5, a reason for why they might like to do it. And this is a complete email. Dear John, I have a great class on email writing, and it's available at a discount for the next few days. Click here to buy Delightful Emails now, Matthew. Now, I'm not a gambling man, but if I was, I would say that this email sent to the right list is going to get you some sales, because that's the nature of continuous keep in touch. And Renee says you only send 1 email a week. Then I email whenever I have something to say. Sometimes I email daily, sometimes I email every few months. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I've tried pretty much every cadence. For a period of 2000, I think it was 2015, 2016, I did send an email every single day. I enjoyed it, nobody complained, but it wasn't the most efficient use of my time, I found. I was making equal amounts of money by changing up that frequency. It became a little bit of a rod for my back. I was making the same amount of money sending an email a week as I was sending an email a day, so I just didn't hold myself to that standard any longer. But the answer is it doesn't matter. I think you have to show up often enough that people don't forget you. But then I see examples that maybe suggest that isn't true. I see some people who email 3 or 4 times a year and have fantastically strong email-based businesses. So we've got, Dear John, I have a great class on email writing. It's available discount for the next few days. Click here to buy Delightful Emails now. Now, this is what a lot of email marketers or email senders or email sellers will be sending. And they're effective, but they're not delightful. And after a while, it's going to become a bit of a grind, a little bit boring to keep receiving these. So we're going to make them delightful by including flesh and a segue. The flesh is the creative. Is taken from our tickler file of creative prompts. Remember, we did the daily drip. What made us happy? What made us angry? What made us sad? What did we see? What did we read? What did we eat? Well, maybe I saw somebody wearing socks with sandals and I thought, oh man, I can't bear socks with sandals. So I'm taking that out of the creative prompt box. And then I'm taking how to write delightful emails, which is how-to content, but you'll see this email doesn't include any how-to content. It's just about writing delightful emails. And I'm marrying the two together. So how do we marry socks with sandals with delightful emails? Well, here's how you do it. You say, Dear John, I hate socks with sandals, chocolate ice cream, and people who text and drive. I have a great class on email writing and it's available at a discount. So it's just jarring, isn't it? It's jarring. So what we need to do is tie this all beautifully together by mastering the segue. And when you master the segue, you can take two completely unrelated things and tie them together. And this is why I said, when you become a person of value, you never have to do how-to content. You never have to have really anything specifically consequential to say. Our segue in this case is going to be this. So I'm going to read the whole thing in one go now, and you see how the segue just makes it a beautifully delightful email. Dear John, I hate socks with sandals, chocolate ice cream, and people who text and drive. A lot of people I know hate writing emails. Maybe you do, but I love it, and I've found out how to make it really easy. In fact, I have a great class on email writing, and it's available at a discount for the next few days. So what we've done, do you see what we've done? You see what we've done? And we've done it backwards. We've started with the call to action, and then we've put our name in, and then we've put the greeting in, and then we've put our point in, and then we've put our flesh in, and then we've added our segue. And then finally, if we want to, we add a subject line. I say if we want to, because subject lines really don't matter very much. When you are, I mean, I think you can have fun with them, and they're an opportunity to make the email more delightful. And go into a bit more depth in this in the program, but let's not sweat the subject line. If people aren't buying our coaching services, or engaging with us as human beings, or even responding well to our emails, it's not because we didn't get the subject line right. Now, if you're sending out millions of emails a day like Amazon, you're going to be spending a lot of money split testing this stuff. But if you're a coach with a few hundred or a few thousand people on your list, it's really honestly a very, very, very inconsequential activity. But if you like to do it well, then go for it, have fun with it, but don't sweat it. Let's do another one, but let's do it live. So first question for you, and you can be as ridiculous and as fun with this as you like. What are you selling? What are we selling in this email? We're going to write an email together where we're going to marry completely obscure creative prompt with a completely obscure sales object. Relationship coaching. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to be selling a relationship coaching session, says Karen. Okay, so give me a location. Any location in the world. I'm here. I'm not. Let's see. I want to take these suggestions from different people, so you'll see that there's no collusion. I don't know where Edmonton is. So I think it's in Canada, isn't it? Let's try somewhere else. Okay, Melbourne, Australia. So we've got Melbourne, Australia, which is where we are. That's the location. We've got relationship coaching. Give me any object, animal, mineral, vegetable, doesn't matter. Anything, something that's on your desk right now, something you can see out the window. A rabbit. Okay, so we've got a rabbit in Melbourne, selling relationship coaching. And finally, where are we in Melbourne? What is it? Is it in terms of the actual, what's around us? Melbourne is the city, but let's get really, really specific. On a tram. On a tram. Okay, we're on a tram in Melbourne. There is a rabbit, and we're selling relationship coaching. Dear John, not so very long ago, a new relationship I was in was almost over as soon as it began. We'd taken a vacation just 6 months into our relationship, down to Melbourne. Melbourne is a town in Australia. We were sitting on a tram and I was looking through the guidebook, and I found this restaurant that was famous all over Melbourne for its unusual cuisine. Look at this, darling, I said. They have a special rabbit pie. I've been meaning to try rabbit pie for years. My darling looked back at me. The disgust in her face was ample. I'd never seen anybody look so angry. She stormed off the tram. I chased her down the streets of Melbourne. I said, "What is it?" She said, "I love rabbits more than life itself. And if you're the kind of person who wants to eat rabbit for dinner, then I don't think we could ever be together." Luckily, I backpedaled as fast as I could and our relationship was saved. But these kind of incidences, not knowing our partner well enough, can be the cause of an enormous amount of marital strife. If you want to get to know your partner better than they know themselves and enjoy a far more engaging and rewarding relationship as a result, then click here to schedule a quick Relationship 101 session with me, your coach, Karen. But you see what we did? I'll take your feedback on that. But this is, I mean, obviously it's made up, but it's a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun. And we told a story and it provoked a reaction. Brilliant. Yeah, fun, right? It's fun. But the point is, I've been doing it for a long time, right? You can train yourself to do this as well. But this is how easy it should be. This is the process. And we took the subject, the greeting, the flesh, the segue. The segue, of course, was, you know, if you want to avoid this kind of situation, then you can you can do this with your eyes shut. You can learn to do it with your eyes shut. And you say great improv, yeah, but it comes with practice. And it comes with practice of being prepared to write these emails by numbers. This is it. This is email, delightful, personality-based email by numbers. And so now you know it's not what you write, it's who writes the email. The most delightful email you're going to get is going to be from your lover or from the person who makes you feel something. You know how to generate a year's worth of content in 15 minutes, which can also be useful for your social media stuff, for your blog writing, for your book writing, and you know how to write the email. So at this point, you have a choice to make. You can go ahead, take this knowledge and do it on your own, or you can take the next step with me and let me help you really, really master this. You can start today, or you can start some other time, which we often know doesn't really exist. Here's what I would like to propose as being your next steps. I have a program that's called Delightful Emails, and it looks exactly like this. This email is designed to make you smarter, faster, and more profitable using email as a main source of selling in your business. Now, I've given you 55 minutes of preview content, if you like. And inside of this program, which is 6 small modules, you're going to find a lot more stuff. This enables you to have a really advanced understanding. And it's something that you only need to study once, but you will practice every time you sit down to write this email. Module 1 is all about the delightful email. We go into the philosophical underpinning, which we talked about. Then we go into the essential components, which we didn't. Reducing friction to get work on the page, words on the page, that means creating your writing environment using writing technology that I recommend. And then we go deep. Remember I said we go deep into creating your voice. That's module 2. Individualism. You'll learn how to be unlike everybody else. Come up with your motif, come up with your persona. And when you've got your persona in place, we take that part, your individual voice, and turn it into a style guide for your business, which also means that if you have other writers in your team, they're going to find it much easier, or if you decide to outsource one day, they're going to find it very easy to write as you. So we're going to use, we're going to develop a style guide for your email writing. We're going to go deep then into email idea generation. We'll do some finding the right words exercises. We're going to look at prompting, subject matter, creative, alphabet method, library method, fractal method in a bit more depth. I showed you the alphabet method today. How to write an email, painting emails by numbers. We got a big bit on subject lines, how to craft the perfect segue, what makes good flesh, greetings and points, calls to action, and then reuse and repetition, which is an essential piece that we haven't discussed today. But really, I believe it's the job of a coach to be deliberately repetitive by design. And then the final module is the actual writing process. We're going to go over how to write these things really quickly and my rewriting and editing process, which will add layers of delight just with one simple rewrite after you've got the first one on the page. And then what to do after you hit send as well. This is what it looks like. So you see this is module 2, developing your voice. This is an 8-minute video. It's me to camera like this, writing on slides and workbooks that you can see here. There's 5 videos of about 7 to 10 minutes each per module, 6 modules. We're looking at about 5.5 hours worth of content, which of course is a one-day workshop if you choose, or you can spread it out over a week, or indeed at any pace you like. They all come with audio-only files you can listen to in the car. You get to download the slides, and each module has a workbook, which I'm very proud of. Now, I got one of the world's best instructional designers to go through this line by line and turn each module into a comprehensive workbook, so that you not only get to learn by listening and watching, but also learn by doing, by synthesizing, and by putting into your own words as well. And so this is the 20-page workbook for module 5, and there's one for every module. And the promise of the program is very simple. You're going to write easier, more effective, more delightful emails. You'll have more money, more joy, and more fun. And this is a process that's worked for, I'm going to say, close to 500 people now, according to their feedback and according to mine. The most comprehensive, fun, evergreen, and always relevant course on creating emails, as well as social content that pay, that is currently available on the market. But that's not all. I'm not going to leave you on your own. One of the problems is you do a course, or you don't do a course, or you buy it and you don't do it. So A, delightful emails are super easy to digest, but B, I'm going to be with you every step of the way for the next 12 months. So when you enroll in Delightful Emails today, you're also going to become a Delightful Triggers subscriber. And that means for an entire year, I'm going to be sending you email prompts, email ideas, email thoughts, ongoing email education, which means there will never be a month when you don't say you didn't send at least one email a week using the paint by numbers approach that I will be dripping out to you over the year. So what's the deal? Normally this costs $1,997, but obviously for you today, because Coaches Console are subsidizing this for you, I'm going to put something together for you that includes a bonus. The bonus is, because I know many of you coaches are looking for ways to diversify your income, and this is something I've done with reasonable success a number of times. I'm going to show you behind the scenes of Delightful Emails and how I launched it. So I put together a special request, a quick and dirty 6 figures from a low-cost information product. And what you'll see is you'll see me sell this very program. You'll see the 5 emails I sent that sold Delightful Emails the first time that it was ever delivered live years ago. And you'll read the swipe, you'll read the sales reports, you'll read my thought process and everything that goes into it. So if you're thinking about packaging up your expertise and selling your expertise to your audience, this is a really useful course that shows you how I planned and now I've gone on to make, you know, lots of mortgage payments from doing exactly that. So that's that. I'm throwing that in as a bonus today. So here's what the offer is. Delightful Emails, $997. Delightful Triggers, $997. We also have the Delightful Emails critique community, which means every time you write an email, you can post a link to it or post the body of it in our Facebook group and say, what do you think of this, Matthew? And I will give you my feedback for the rest of my natural life. How about that? Plus, I've put a $197 value on selling Delightful Emails, which brings us total value of $3,191. But today I am making you, because you are a guest of Coaches Console, an offer of only $997. And to put that into context, I make absolutely no promises about what the program will do for you. But if you are a coach who is expecting to make tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars this year, and you believe that emails can encourage somebody to join your program that might not otherwise have joined your program, then I would say this represents very good value, because you'll be equipped for life with a skill which I use exclusively to sell my coaching programs. I use this webinar to sell my Delightful Emails program, but for coaching, you know, 1, 2, 3 emails a month, and tens of thousands of dollars as a direct result of that. And this is my process, and I believe it will work for you as well, because it works so well for hundreds of my other clients. So if you're interested in that, you can go to delightfulemails.com/go. I'm going to type that into the chat for you. You can look at the top of my head while I do that. You go to delightfulemails.com/go, and this is what you shall see. Now I'm going to switch screens, so we might glitch for a split second. But here is what you're going to see when you go to delightfulemails.com/go. You put your first name in here, your last name in here, your email address, your business name, so on and so forth. You agree to the terms and conditions, which says, I will never sell, share, or misuse your data, and you can unsubscribe at any time. You're going to choose your pricing option. Now, you have two options here. You can either pay once, and what you have here is the original price, $1994, but we have automatically populated this coupon code, so the price that you will actually pay, today's total price after your discount, is $997. And you may also choose to make 3 monthly payments of $349.50. So there is a small surcharge for splitting your payments up. But if you would prefer to do that, then that is absolutely an option. You can choose to pay by credit card or indeed by PayPal. You hit complete order and you'll be taken to a thank you page. You'll then receive an email with details on how to access the program as well. And what I would love to see is as many of you in there as is relevant, frankly. If what I've taught you today makes you believe that you can become, excuse me, I'm sharing the wrong screen now, make you become an effective and profitable email writer, then this is something that you should choose to do today. So you go on over to delightfulemails.com/go, and I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions. If you've got them, you can contact me in the normal place.